Well, hello to all you people I can't see directly, explicitly. We shall re engage in this text exploration by the great 17th century yogi Karma Chagmé, founder of the Karmakagyu lineage of the Kagyupas, and Enigma lineage holder. His dad was an Enigmapa, and so he held multiple lineages. The Karma Kagyu, he held Kagyu lineage and also Enigma. Of course, Kagyu would be part of the new school, the new wave of Dharma that came to Tibet around the 12th century. And then the old school Nyingmas, I would speculate, started around the 6th, 7th century, migrating into Tibet from what we now call India. Of course, it was probably there much earlier than the 6th century, considering that the Silk Road and the Tarim Basin was very popular. And you also had Greco Buddhism as early as 400 BC. Yes, I said BC. Very early on, we had Greco Buddhism. So that shows you the scope, the depth and breadth of Buddha Dharma. And it did expand quite a bit from coast to coast. So anyway, Karma Chagmé has this wonderful text here, Spacious Path to Freedom, a union of Mahāmudrā and Atiyoga. Atiyoga is a synonym for Dzogchen, the highest yoga. In the Jnana context, it's the path of self-liberation, right? So prior to that, you have the path of transformation, you have the path of purification, and you have the path of renunciation. Here is the path of self-liberation. All the teachers say it's great for the lazy people because you don't have to do anything. Buddhahood is self-arising the more you familiarize with the nature of mind. And the nature of mind, I can't believe it, but it's being talked about more now in modern health circles. We just listened to a video by Dr. James Cook, for example, who has such a clean, polished uh, sort of presentation of awakening. He doesn't neglect the ancient lineages. He speaks to the ineffable nature. He speaks to the fact that it's very difficult to share this truth with those who are only in the thoughts. This is how I know what he's describing is authentic, because he goes into very mundane details that will verify awakening. Awakening and enlightenment is verified through mundane details, in my opinion. It's not about talking about how you can do all this and that, how you can read everybody's mind, or you can travel to different planets, or you can see all your past lives, and all these things. I could tell you right now, I could see my past lives, but what would that do for you? Now, if you came to me and said, I think I have some details that are showing me past life evidence, then we can discuss that. Yeah, little details in your childhood could be cluing you into past life stuff. So that is significant. But if you just come with general statements like, oh, I was a great master in my past life, nobody can really relate to that. But if you say, I found a cognition outside of thoughts, thoughts were within my awareness. I was able to look at the thoughts and look at the thinker. Now that doesn't sound very spectacular. It sounds a little bit mundane, but it is very, very powerful. Right? And so stepping out of that thinking mind, we enter a whole new territory. very, very lucky. It gives you the freedom. It doesn't give you the freedom right away. Maybe it doesn't seem like you have freedom right away, but it gives you the freedom to choose your moods, to choose what you go through, what you don't, to choose what you adopt and discard. Yes, remember the four genuine restraints where you can invoke a good mood. You can get rid of a bad mood. You can stop a bad mood from arising. And you can sustain a good mood. You have a lot of free will there. Okay, everybody. So I will continue reading here. That was maybe a little introduction. Um, so Jana Shri says, like a tree trunk separated from its root, my mind itself is free, like space. Whatever delusive appearances occur, welcome them. I'm a contemplative of space. Now remember, when they talk about the root of the mind, they're talking about the one who's feeling good or feeling bad, the one who's sitting here thinking, the one who's hearing me speak right now. And that's a habituation, that's a selfing, and really is at the heart of our suffering. If you can start to see that, the witness, the watcher, the reference point, the conditioned self, so many different names for it, right? Uh, just witnessing that, just seeing that is quite powerful. So, whether white or black clouds appear in the sky, the nature of space is not altered. The clouds do not influence space, either by harming or benefiting. They simply appear in space and then vanish. Similarly, all thoughts, whether good or bad, are purely displays of awareness. They too do not have the power either to injure or aid awareness. See, don't I mention that to you all? When I always hear, oh, I'm having bad thoughts, I'm grasping to my thoughts, and uh, we always assume that our spirituality is suffering or something, that we're doing bad on the path, instead of just saying these are also coming and going with an awareness. And they can't hurt your awareness, right? They can't change it. And as long as we're in those thoughts, it seems like things are changing, and fluctuating, and alternating. But that's only because we're not recognizing space like sort of infinite stability of our mind is here. And it will help you too. It will help you overcome things. That's why I think when you pray, you're really just praying to your own mind. Oh, send some backup down here. Okay, so we'll continue here. Cherbupa says, in self-release that transcends the intellect, set your unstructured body, speech, and mind at rest. Settle without distraction and without rejection or affirmation. Settle in great unwavering equality. So not all everybody's going to be able to access this, unfortunately. At least not in this particular time and collective. This Cherbupa is sitting there saying the same thing that we do for the 10-minute meditations. Put your body, speech, and mind at rest and let some self-release happen. This is exactly the technique in cognitive therapy right now. And I would say internal family systems. Except there you're doing a deliberate inquiry a little bit more. So you're going in and talking to your inner child and making reassurances sending love to your internal family. All right, so Padma Shri says, as this inborn consort is not intellectually structured by means of thinking and meditation, there is no need to seek the Dharmakaya elsewhere. As it is self arisen, set yourself at ease. Oh, that's so beautiful. I'm just going to read that again. As this inborn consort is not intellectually structured by means of thinking and meditation, there is no need to seek the Dharmakaya elsewhere. As it is self arisen, just set yourself at ease. Just be here. There's nothing to do. Relax. We're finished. We're all done. Good and thoughts will still come. That's fine. Emotional energy will come and go from your awareness. But you're free. Post-awakening does not always look hunky-dory. This is a great misconception, and I'm glad there are people writing about this. I'm glad we're normalizing awakening in a modern scientific way as well. We should want everybody to have this. Okay, so the Venerable Naropa says, the consciousness of self-awareness, bliss, and clarity is the Dharmakaya of nothingness. If it were established, this would be a structured awareness. But as it is unestablished, there is no structuring. That's very good. And remember, we try to hold on to how things should be, right? Instead of just allowing what is. And that trying to make things a certain way, that is structuring. And remember, a couple sessions ago, I talked about what constructs look like, mental emotional constructs, and how we layer them onto the conditioned self. So I am an angry person. I've always been an angry person. I'm angry because my father was an alcoholic and would beat me and my mother. There's a great story right there. So it's a construct. It's glued together by grasping many things. Grasping and doing the I, then adding the label I am angry. And that's a sticking together into a construct. And then I am angry because my father was an alcoholic. You see? So it structures like that and creates constructs that are incredibly hard to peel away once the story has been written in depth. And so with internal family systems, for example, we can go back kind of deliberately and invoke, and we've talked about that before, that kind of clearing. So even if you're ruminating before you go to sleep or during meditation and you're sort of invoking things, I think it's okay if it comes naturally. I would say deliberate invocation of trauma is not cool in my opinion, but this sending love to your internal family systems, that's not invoking trauma. So this I'm okay with. And I think you can go in there and sort of talk to your inner child and say, you know what, I know this is rough, I know this is crazy, but you're loved, you're going to be all right. You know, talk to your mother. Thank you for being there for me. Thank you for helping us survive. Thank you for not having an abortion. Really, you know, talk to your dad, your internal ideas of your dad. I forgive you. I wish you healing. Whatever you need to do to create that peace, because you deserve it. And that's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here for. So, Savarepa says, although one says space, space, the nature of space is utterly unestablished. It transcends existence non-existence, no existence, and no non-existence, and any other object that can be posited. I'm pretty sure that was a mistranslation of the four extremes because no existence is non-existence. No non-existence is existence. All right. So Varupa says, the great Varupa, right? I don't know if you ever want to look some of these folks up. They have really interesting histories. And Varupa, if I remember correctly, his name means the ugly one. And he has such a wonderful kind of like Dharma history. So he's credited with the first mention of Hatha Yoga. He's credited with being one of the 84 Mahasiddhis venerated in so-called Hinduism and Buddhism. He's credited with creating the Sakya school of Buddhism. And then much more than that. So really interesting. So he says, Mahāmudrā, the equality of cyclic existence and peace, intrinsically unborn, pristine in nature, defying articulation due to having no mode of being that can be indicated, ineffable in nature, its essence free of all relativity, unanalyzable, incomparable, not even existing as something incomparable. It transcends the intellect. I'm noticing a theme here. Yes, conceptualization is compounded confusion, right? Yeah, this this has me teeter-tottering. I'm going to be honest with you all. Like bringing people beyond the intellect can be so tricky and difficult. And sometimes I feel like I'm bringing people there and then I look and I'm like, wow, no, they're still stuck. It's really hard to really cross somebody, help. Everybody's got to cross themselves over. But, we go back into our intellect and we trust our thinking so much. It's a type of immaturity, a spiritual immaturity. So, more and more, we have to understand the futility of overthinking this stuff and trusting that our thoughts are right about these situations because they're not. They're usually just exasperating or really prolonging and complicating our natural feelings. So if we have natural sadness about something, our thoughts will complicate that. Then we need help, you know. But if we can manage to be with our natural sadness and not complicate it too much, then we'll have that pure sort of humanity without this. I feel like we tend to alter our naturalness. Sadness, for example, can be really natural to us, but we alter it and prolong it and complicate it, as they would say in psychology. So, yes, she's sharing here. Yes, Rupa. Also known as Rupa. And oh, yeah, that must be his Tibetan name. 8th, 9th century Indian Mahasiddhi and yogi, and the source of important cycles of teachings in Tantric Buddhism. Yeah, I think I basically said that. Okay. Tutup Wangchok, they called him in Tibetan. All right. So, the stanzas on the Madhyamaka root of wisdom states, do not say it is empty and do not refer to it as not empty or as dual or non-dual. Yep. A refutation of objection states, if I were to have any theoretical position, then I would have this problem. But since I have no theoretical position, I have no problem at all. Very nice. Yeah. As soon as you take an existential position or even an ontological position, then you're setting yourself up for contradictions and all kinds of issues. That's why I'm surprised how prevalent it is that people think Buddhism is a philosophy. They say they argue whether it's a philosophy or a religion. It's neither. It's a meditation path. Well, I guess it can be used as anything, but it's definitely not a philosophy if it's known to be a complete negation of philosophy, right? With the Tetralema and with the Mula Madhyamaka Karika, and really, it's explicitly non-ontological, non-existential in a sense of ineffability. So this idea that it's a philosophy, and then people will say, well, it's a religion because it teaches us how to behave. Every single religion, every single legal system tells you how to behave, tells you not to steal, not to lie. That's not what makes Buddha Dharma exceptional. What makes it exceptional is the four foundations of mindfulness, the Eightfold Path, the Four Noble Truths. That's what makes it exceptional. And that's meditation stuff, in my opinion. Where does right view come from? It doesn't come from you obeying the laws. It comes from your realization. So, it's really a path of Buddha Dharma is a path of realization, even more than we could say meditation. But we have a lot of stability practices in the Buddha Dharma, like shamatha and vipassana and compassion practices to remind you um, to get out of self-absorption, which tends to anchor us into samsara. Yeah, so this really, I think every single sutra that I've ever heard is about you waking up. That's all it's about. It's trying to help you wake up. Okay, so the treatise in 400 stanzas states, since no position is taken anywhere as to existence, non-existence, or existence and non-existence, however long you wait, you cannot find grounds for an argument. Well, this particular text was not around in the time of the internet because now they can find grounds for an argument for anything. All right. So the Mahasiddha Maitreppa says, uh, I think it's Maitreppa. Yeah, Maitreppa. And I think mate is like compassion. But he was around the same time as Rupa and all those in the 7th, 8th, 9th centuries in that Bengal area, by the way. So we read about Naguma, a counterpart to Naropa, most likely a student of Talopa, and I believe Maitreppa was around the same time. So the mind itself is free of the three extremes of birth, cessation, and abiding. It is released from dualistic grasping onto I and mine. Its essence is empty, its nature is luminous, and its character is unceasing awareness that is without an object, yet it appears in numerous ways. This luminosity transcends objects that are grasped as the seen and the seer. It is released from the objects that are objectified as the topic of meditation and the meditator. See, they're talking about Tokyo here, and a lot of folks wouldn't know it. It says the luminosity transcends objects that are grasped. Isn't that interesting? And transcends that. That's why we included all four foundations of mindfulness today. So the body, your feelings, your thoughts, and the environment, just like in a dream, everything is subsumed by mind. So, yeah, the seen and the seer is released from the objects that are objectified as the topic of meditation and meditator. All right, very good. So I think we can, well, let's finish this paragraph. So without bringing anything to mind, that very freedom from mental engagement is inactivity free of all action, set at ease and unstructured. There is no grasping, for whatever appears is not apprehended. One is mentally vacant, for one is free of the structured contamination of the consciousness of meditative equipoise. There is pristine emptiness, for there is no grasping onto signs. It is luminous, for it is by nature clear light. It is unmediated, for it is not contaminated by the dualistic grasping of ideation. It is vivid, for it knows its own nature. Appearances and the mind are indivisibly, unimpededly homogeneous, for the grasping onto subjects and objects has dissolved. Homogeneous, excuse me. That's what you get when you got uh, me reading your text. Sometimes I'm learning new words, okay? I've heard homogeneous before, but I don't hear that word very, very often. So it's unimpededly homogeneous. I think that's a reference to that um, evenness, that suchness, the isness, okay? It is ordinary consciousness, for awareness is settled in its own unstructured nature. It is fresh awareness, for the stream of ideation does not enter the heart. And this is the real essence of the practice of insight. So defining vipassana there too, Laktong in Tibetan, is from resting naturally comes vipassana. All right, so we not only do we have the union of Mahāmudrā and Atiyoga, but Shamatha and Vipassana too. All right, so thank you so much, Yeshi and the dear Sangha that's here facilitating this. I really appreciate you engaging in these practices. Sometimes I feel like these are the highest teachings. So, man, how are we worthy of practicing them? How are we worthy of talking about them? And maybe we need to do even more years of retreat before we should go into this stuff. But the more I see the modern movement of awakening, I'm starting to see that, it's really good that we're talking about this and people need it and people are ready for it. Even though there'll be a lot of people still anchored into samsara, there'll be those of you who are being honest about this and approaching it. And I really do appreciate you for that. So deep bow to you in your practice. Thank you. Thank you.